Boom, boom. What is going on? Kaboom. Look who stepped into the room. It is your host, Ozil. How are you guys doing today? Hello, hello, hello. Let me know. Let me do a mic check. I was having some tech issues earlier. Let me know how I'm sounding in your earbuds. Or maybe you're not listening to earbuds, but you're just listening to me wherever on the phone or wherever it is. StreamYard link. Yes, I did see your comment. I believe it was Sean. Sean, you know what, my man? If somebody can post it, I think it should be. I don't know how to get it from here. You can hear me fine. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. I don't know, Sean. Let me know. But I know you're here, man. And I'll check out your comment. Let's see if I can see it here. If anybody can post a StreamYard link to give Sean permission, don't want to listen from Facebook. My man, you know what? I don't know. You can also listen because we're streaming, we're multicasting here, man. You can also check it out on Podcast Influence YouTube channel and not on the Facebook business group, but on YouTube, my man. So hopefully you can listen to it on YouTube. I don't think you can direct stream it or listen to it via StreamYard per se. So yeah, man, hopefully that works. But YouTube is where you can check it out. All right, everybody else, Sean, how you feeling today? How's everybody feeling? I know Tina Marie was on earlier. A friend all the way from Africa in the house. Hello, hello. I'm not sure if you're tuning in, but drop it in the chat room. Let me know how your Monday morning is going, your Monday afternoon or evening, because we got international folks tuning in. So let me know how your day is going so far. This is the last week of April. Can you believe it? It's crazy. We're making it happen. It's been a good month. It's been a really good month. Challenging last week, but it's been all in all, it's been a good month. What, man, Dave, what is up? Yo, Dave, formerly of Bartender HQ. My man, it has been forever since I've seen you. All the way from the UK. See, yes, we have international friends. So we got friends from all over. Dave, what has been up, man? Let me know. Dave, we connected. Geez, Dave, how long ago was it? I believe it was maybe 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago in the bartender circuit online. Dave had an awesome Bartender HQ podcast. He was heavy into the bartending world, online creator, doing some pretty awesome things. Dave, let me know in the chat room, my man. I'm not sure if you'll be able to tune in the whole time, but let me know what's been happening on your end. I see iCave Dave, so I'm assuming that you're tuning in from YouTube. So let me know how you're doing, man. What's been up? What are you working on these days? So shout out to Dave all the way from the UK. It has been a minute. It has been a minute, my man. And as you can see, I'm still doing the podcasting thing, still in the trenches. And now I'm doing this live stream every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Time, just for the Pod Houston community. So shout out to Pod Houston and, of course, Podcast Influence and anywhere else where you may be catching this live. And, of course, if you catch this on the replay, tag me on the replay, #replay, and hopefully you guys enjoy this live stream. And we're going to vibe today. Live and vibe. Daily Apple News on YouTube these days. Awesome. Dude, I'm going to have to check it out. So I'm going to check out the YouTube channel. Guys, check it out. So if you are looking for Daily Apple News on YouTube, check out Dave's channel. I'm definitely going to check it out. My boy, my man, good to see you, my man. Always pleasure seeing you, my man. Hope you're doing well. DW in the house, all the way from the East Coast. Love it, love. As always, listen, I like to start off these live streams welcoming you guys to the live stream, of course, but also just expressing my gratitude for you showing up here, for vibing with me this morning. I am truly grateful that you're here with me, and I'm excited because today we're going to do something a little different, my friends. We're going to do a Q&A. We're going to vibe and see what happens. It may end a little earlier. I always say it's going to end up earlier, but we end up like ranting and going on for like over an hour like last week. So we'll see where this is going to end up. Okay, we'll just see. We'll see, because this is, you never know. This is just unfiltered, raw and uncut, and we'll see where it goes. And plus, when we have people like Dave and Tina Marie and Reggie and some of the insiders, and who else is going to be here? DW. It just, you never know how far we're going to take this. So cheers to Monday, y'all. drinking some alkaline water because I need it. Let me know how your weekend was. My weekend was insane. I don't want to go into details, but yesterday was like full day recovery day and like physically felt it. I actually missed my morning workout today because it was that taxing on Saturday. And yes, it was recovery. No, it didn't get wild and crazy on Saturday. It's just one of those physical like days where I was just moving a lot, sweating a lot, and yeah, won't go there. It was crazy. Anyhow, but I'm grateful nonetheless. Yes, sir, man. Good to see you, brother. Okay, cool, guys. So we're gonna do a Q&A, if you guys don't mind. If you have any questions, please drop your questions down below. If you have any questions related to podcasting, content creation, you want to talk about personal development, life, I'm gonna just keep this like just raw and uncut, open it up, and let's just have a conversation about some of the things. And of course, feel free to drop it in the chat room. Of course, give permission to StreamYard so I can see your name, give you a shout out, and let's rock with this, guys. All right, it's cool. So I put this out here. Yesterday was so insane that I forgot to even promote this live stream. Some of you who've been here since day one know about the live stream, but I put it out there and I totally forgot to schedule this. I just scheduled it today and I put the word out there in the newsletter, in the Pod Houston newsletter on the Q&A session. So we'll be answering some questions. I did get some questions though. I was surprised. I got some questions for you guys today. And I'm excited. I'm going to do something different. Hold on one second, guys, real quick. Boom, boom. So we could do this. Let me see if we can. No, we won't do that. We won't do that. We won't do that. I was going to try to get all fancy and add some music, but I think last time that didn't work. So, all right, guys, let's get right to it. Live Q&A. Ask your questions down below. Any questions on podcasting? Anything that's challenging right now? If you want to share something, share some advice or tips, let's have this conversation because we're about to make it happen, y'all. We're about to have some fun. All right, let's go. Here we go. Real quick. Not seeing you on YouTube, man. Sean, I believe. Go on, subscribe to Podcast Influence, and you should be able to see it, my man. I'm seeing that it's live on YouTube. So let me know. Let me know. If not, I don't know what to tell you, brother, but I know we're on YouTube. Let me know if there's anybody on YouTube watching this, if you can see it. Let's go ahead and verify that. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get to the questions. Your mileage may vary regarding some advice and some tips, but I've been around the block, so I'm going to just share some of the things that I've experienced and sharing with you in hopes of bringing some value into your life. So let's get right to it. These questions, the majority of them, I just kind of copied and paste. The majority of them are podcasting related, which is cool. I'm all about that. So here we go. Question number 1. Hey, Oziel. I believe this is Jessica. I just kind of copy and pasted. So I'll tag you afterwards, and I promise that I will send you this link on the replay because these questions, they weren't able to catch it live. They emailed them yesterday, so they were in my inbox. Okay, let's get right to it. Jessica, hey, Oziel, I love your message over metrics philosophy, but don't we need to measure numbers to see if this is even worth it? Let me start with that last part, Jessica. To see if this is even worth it. What is worth it to you? If the numbers is worth showing up behind the microphone and providing value for your community, then this is going to be an end game for you. Like, it's over. But, and you ask this question, so I'm going to address it to you. But of course, there are other people out there that are very heavy and they just want to see the numbers, the metrics. And again, I'm going to go through this. And if you guys want to comment on this, even if you disagree with me, comment. I actually want this to be an open discussion, but I'm going to address this question. Is it even worth it if you're not seeing the numbers? Guys, let me go ahead and throw that question out to you. If you don't see the numbers, is it even worth it for you to create content or have a podcast? Is it worth it? Because To me, I answer that question much like the journey of life. We don't know if we're going to be alive tomorrow, but is it worth breathing today? Worth living and living a life of meaning and passion and purpose? I hope, for me, I know I can say this with certitude that the answer is absolutely yes, it's worth it. So, Jessica, and for those podcasters who are caught up in the numbers, don't think of podcasting as a way to measure, or the metrics as a way to measure success. The question is, are you passionate about the thing that you're sharing with the world? Are you passionate about showing up as a leader? Are you passionate about providing value or entertainment to your people? Are you passionate about that? Because if you are passionate about it, then I would say that it is worth it. And it does come down to message over metrics. And patience plays a major role in putting in the reps, showing up behind the mic, and providing value for your audience, because you have made a decision to be committed to a leader, to your leadership, to invite, interviewing or to showing up as a leader in your niche. So to me, that's definitely worth it. And let's face it, guys, anything, whether you're starting a YouTube channel or starting a new business or a new career, right? New job, a new podcast, whatever it is, nothing is certain. Nothing is certain. You can lose the job. The YouTube channel may not be successful, but would you show up even if you knew it wouldn't work out is the question. And I believe that when you are in pursuit of your own success and you want to challenge yourself to take yourself to the next level, you absolutely 1000% need to be committed to the unknown, need to be committed to the fact that it may not work, but you are still making a decision because you're passionate about this to show up regardless of the applause, regardless if I have 6 viewers right now, or I have 0, or I have 1,000 subscribers or viewers, or I have 20. It doesn't matter. What matters is I asked a question, put it out there. You're asking advice from me. And it matters to me to show up today and answer that question, because that is my promise to you, because I am committed to my journey. My question to you is, are you committed to yours? Podcasting may not be your jam. If that's the case, it's okay to have self-awareness and to ask yourself, is it really worth it to me? Am I getting any fulfillment? Is this really something that I enjoy doing? If it's not, then it's not for you. And then be done with it and then move on to the next. But if you're asking the question, is it worth it? Is your message worth it? Because I tell you, your numbers are not really going to determine how much. You can have 1,000 subscribers, 1,000 listeners, but I can guarantee you that maybe there's a small percentage, a small core of people that are really your diehard true fans. And I know we're trying to achieve the 1,000 true fans, what everybody was talking about. That's the goal. But even that philosophy, 1,000 true fans, that's small in comparison to the major audience that's out there, millions, right? But you're always going to have the 1,000, that small core of people like you showing up every Monday. Like, you're my people. That's my inner circle. And then everybody else can fall in, and people may kind of come in and out, but that's okay. I'm here to serve you, my people that show up. That's it. That's all I'm concerned with. Jessica, does that make sense? And let me know. I got some comments here. Yo, let's go. This is what I'm talking about. I love it. And guys, chime in. This is what I want. I want this to be engaging. I want you guys to share your thoughts. I'm going to drop it in real quick. Boom, boom, boom. That work. What is it worth it? Yes. That's a very open-ended question. What's your goals? That's right, DW. Like, what are your goals? Be very specific. What's your objective? You could have one listener and it could be Oprah. Perspective, Dave. I love that, brother. I love that. Sean, Be a Man podcast, Insider. I use numbers to know what type of content the audience listens to more. Absolutely. You use numbers, even as a business. You run the metrics, you run the numbers to be able to kind of let you know where what you need to tweak and what the market listenership is saying, right? Especially, I know Dave and some of you have YouTube channels. you can go through your most popular content and see, okay, cool. The marketing aspect of what I'm doing is resonating with my viewers or listeners. So I do feel like metrics is a great way to gauge the interest of your audience, and whether in business or as a content creator, we can use those numbers to determine what type of content we need to be putting out. Absolutely, there is room for that. I think where we're getting at here is when somebody is saying, should I give up on a podcast, or should I give up starting, putting content on a YouTube channel because I don't see the subs, or because I don't see the viewership or the downloads. It takes time. We talked about this. This is a marathon. It takes time. But like my boy Dave just said, what if that one listener is Oprah Winfrey? Wouldn't that matter? Like, that's huge. And you never know who's listening. And for those who look at the analytics on Buzzsprout or wherever you host your show, you see that you are getting listeners, like real legit listeners from everywhere. And even though they're faceless, they're listening to your podcast. Is that worth anything? You got to respect the audience. I've told my past podcasters that it's better to have 20 listeners than interact with 1K that do nothing. Yep. 1000% DW. My podcast is more working out my experience and, of course, sharing so others can learn from my missteps. If that helps one, then it's worth it for myself. Be a Man podcast. Sean, that's a great way of putting things, right? So when I relaunched my podcast, it was a very self-therapeutic. It was kind of self-documenting, documenting my journey and sharing that out. And I think it's super important for people to understand that absolutely that this is worth it for you, because this is self, right? But it's also wanting to help somebody who might be a few steps behind you, Sean, right? Who's going through the healing process and who's trying to become more confident as a man. And you're helping that individual, that man out. Super worth it, I think. Interaction is key. Yes. I think podcasters use numbers too much, meaning they don't see results in 6 weeks, so they change format over format. You may need to stay consistent with your pods, and they will come. Yes, I see a lot of impatience, and I believe, Dave, you're dropping patience now, the big P word, right? Passion, purpose, patience, persistence. Come on, patience is everything. And if your podcast is evergreen, the back catalog has a value too for the future subscribers. Not only does that apply, Dave, on YouTube, right? If people stumble upon your YouTube video or on your podcast episode, they will go back to the content and watch all of your videos and watch all of your podcasts. I know that's super true in the podcasting world. In the podcasting world and landscape is they will go back. And I've had listeners email me and said, hey, dude, I just stumbled upon episode 100 and I went back and now I'm listening to episode 1. I've gotten that a lot. So yes, that's the beauty about the podcast and, even the YouTube space, is that people will go back, and you will convert that fan into a super fan, and they'll binge your content. So then you'll start seeing a spike in your watch time, and you'll start seeing a spike in your downloads. You're like, where are these downloads coming from? It's because that one listener is going back and listening to all the past content. So that's the power of that. So I love that, Dave. Very cool. Good stuff, guys. Keep it coming. I love this, man. Talk about interaction. You guys bringing the fire. Okay, great question, Jessica. Second question. Number 2. Número 2. What's up, Ozil? What's up? I have a 1 hour long podcast where I interview people, but I'm starting to feel like it's too long. What do you think? What do you guys think? 1 hour interviews, is it too long? For those who do interview-based podcasts, what do you think? What are the metrics showing? Are people dropping off? Is it too long? Do you listen to 1 hour podcast or YouTube podcast? Let me know in the chat real quick while I take a little swig of water. Great question. I don't have your name. I need to go back to the email. So the question is, 1 hour interviews. Is it too long? Is it too much? What do you think? Somebody said, depends. Depends on what to you? What does it depend on? DW. Ozil, how do you feel? Oh, yeah. Oh, you're asking a question. Okay. Oh, hold on. DW, you just dropped a good question, man. Hold on. I'm going to put that on pause. Let me answer this other question. And then get back to that one. That's a good one. DW always has good questions. Okay, cool. So back to the 1 hour interview? Is it too long? Here's my take on this. Somebody said it depends. I agree. I think that as long as you are, providing value and it's entertaining and it's engaging, I think it doesn't matter. However, data is showing that short form content is where it's at right now because it's gotten competitive and there are more and more people listening to multiple 8 to 9, 10 podcasts um, a day, or I think on a weekly basis. So people are listening to more podcasts than before. So the attention span obviously is has shrunk. But I think if the content is solid and I think it's based on topic as well, people will listen to the whole podcast. When I first started podcasting, I remember like the first 15 minutes was just filling the guest out, chatting. Um, we didn't get into the interview and the questions until like 30 minutes into the podcast. So I do feel like it takes a minute, especially if it's a conversational interview based podcast. I think 1 hour is good, but here's the kicker. You got to read, I don't, and there's a little bit of pressure, but you got to be really good at asking questions and keeping the conversation flowing. If it's an hour and you're asking dry questions and it's boring and there's no energy, pull the plug, make it short. I think I remember having a past client who was very, very big on 1 hour interviews. The majority of them were so dry, and I had to let him know that because he he didn't have like a very vibrant personality behind the microphone. He was just kind of very direct. And sometimes he would interview guests that were very serious and it just dragged on forever. So in that case, I was like, yo, you got to go short form, unless you're super entertaining or these questions are really enticing this great conversation between you and your guests, but you got to keep it short. So again, it goes back to what somebody said. It depends. It depends really on the host, the energy, the topic. Again, the data shows short form is crushing right now. You're seeing that on YouTube. However, if you can really hold the attention and be very engaging and entertaining and informative, um, you can pull off 1 hour interviews. But I think it comes down to your preference and what your audience wants, right? I mean, ask your audience if your audience you can. And I don't know your name, but you can ask your audience, "Hey, listen, guys, are you listening to these podcasts? Are you for a whole hour? Like, when are you?" And I believe in Apple Podcasts, you can look at the drop off and you can see where they're dropping off. But I think you need to just ask your people, like, is it too long? Is this really engaging? And then maybe have somebody who can give you a really honest assessment on the podcast and say, "Hey, take a listen. Is this dragging on too long?" I haven't listened to your podcast, so I'll listen to it. Send me a link and I'll check it out and I'll give you an honest assessment. All right. So, but that's a great question. A lot of people ask me that, new clients as well. Like, how long should this be? And I'm like, man, I'm all about the short form content these days, but if you're really good at asking good interviews, if you're asking good questions, I mean, you can do an hour, but I think you can even like have a really good interview within 30 minutes if you're really good and zip it up and just out, let the guests speak and know how to kind of navigate through the questions. I think you can definitely pull off a great interview there. I've done it before, and some of my best interviews have been 30 minutes. And I love to chat, so you can make that happen. Here we go. DW, I'm going to get back to your question because you asked me something. My interview episodes are 1 hour roughly. But it's not a long, drawn out conversation. What's your feel for that, Sean? As far as the 1 hour, are you gonna stick with the 1 hour sessions? Is that what your audience is feeling these days? Dave says you can use the 1 hour as content pillar and then break clips out from other platforms, funnel back to your pillar. Absolutely, and I think that's what you're seeing with all the big podcasters. And I want to say big. Now you're seeing a lot of podcasters do long form content, and then they are repurposing the content for clips. And if you noticed, I think Joe Rogan was one of the first ones that started doing that. They'll basically cut out a piece and they'll answer a question. So Sean, that's actually really good for you since you do video. Find out like a highlighted comment or a clip, and then you put it in the captions or in the headlines, and then use that to promote the bigger form, long form content. I see that being super successful. That's great, Dave. Great drop in there, bro. If the conversation is good, keep it going. I've done over 100 interviews. If the content is good, keep it going. Absolutely, DW. I'm with that too, man. If the interview's good, let it go. Um, Tim Ferriss, which I'm a big fan of, he's become, any Tim Ferriss fans out there? He has a great podcast, and his podcast episodes, interviews are like 2 hour long. I mean, they're long for him, but he asks great questions and he keeps you very, very engaged. I don't listen to all of them anymore. I've actually not listened to a lot of Tim Ferriss's interviews, but I feel like he is one who does a great job of doing long form content and, asking really great questions to keep you engaged. So that's a really good one to check out. Gary V's 64 pieces of content a day deck is an insane free resource. I run Gary's Facebook community. Oh, awesome. Cool. Dave, I didn't know that. I think I saw you in Gary V's group a couple times. Yeah, man. Yeah, his 64 pieces of content is amazing. I think he's dope. Um, Repurposing the content and getting it out there. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely highly recommended. Maybe we'll drop it in there, Dave. Maybe a link so people can see it in the group. That'd be awesome. Boom, boom, boom. Alex in the house. What's up, Alex? Man, you finally showed up, bro. Where you been, man? Come on, you're supposed to show right in the beginning now. Don't make it surgical and dry. You'll bore the listener. Don't make it surgical and dry. Don't get too techie. Don't get too yeah, I get it. Dry. Like there's a lot of and that was a question somebody asked. Like, I think it was a podcast host was like, yo, man, I'm a podcast host, but I don't feel like I'm entertaining. What should I do? And I always encourage, like, if that's the case, then either ask really great questions, like, profound questions, or you keep it short. I think that's the way to go. Keep it short form content. Don't be surgical and dry, as Alex said. I like the 1 hour. And then Sean says, yeah, I need to invest in some video editing software. If you need some recommendations, Sean, Descript is a really good one. We just had them. Did you attend the masterclass? I'm not sure if you did or not. Descript is a good place. We have a 1 month free access to Descript. So if you need that link, let me know. No charge. And then also Final Cut Pro is another one. And of course, Adobe Premiere. There's a few others, but and also iMovie, dude. You can do iMovie. I've seen people still create content or do video editing with iMovie. So, and if anybody has any recommendations, video editing software, drop it in the chat. DW, you asked a question here. Boom, boom. Let me go back to it. Ozzy, how do you feel about audio versus video? I've done both. Do you feel you need both? As I listen to audio anywhere, but can't watch a video as I'm driving or doing an activity. DW, that's a great question. I believe in this day and age, brother, I feel like if you are building an online brand, I do believe that you need both. I think both can suit you well. And I think both suit different audiences. Audio is passive consumption. Audio is great because, and it's sexy because you can, listen to, what you want, when you want, and whatever you're doing, whether you're, cleaning the house or walking the dog, you can plug into the podcast and consume the content. Whereas video, if it requires, your physical presence, it requires your attention, it's active, consumption. So you got to be in front of the video screen or in front of your video camera, your phone camera, to watch the content. I love both, man. I'm a big fan. When I'm moving, I'm listening to the podcast. And what a lot of like YouTubers are even doing now, they're actually either repurposing or they're creating specific audio only content for their audience. And they're making sure that they are also serving their audio only people, and I think that's the way to go. I think if you have audio and video, I think it's the kind of the win-win, my man. I think what's made it very challenging is just a lot of podcasters haven't quite gotten like the logistics, and they're just putting static images and all that, and that really doesn't convert well. So I think having like a video component where you're interviewing people where they can see you and the guests, and then having this audio go into the hosting service and doing that as audio only, I think it's a great opportunity. But do you need it, man? Honestly, I think if you want to build a brand, I feel like video is needed. I think video, and I talked about this, video is just the personification of the brand, right? People get to really feel who you are as a personal brand. They get to see you, right? They get to see who you are and know who is the face behind the voice. And then audio is a little bit more intimate. It's a little bit more, um, more humanizing because there's something more intimate about listening to somebody in your earbuds that creates this intimacy, and you really get to feel and hear what the host is trying to share. So it's a whole different platform, but they're both needed, my man. I think they're both needed. Let me know what you think about that. I want to get out to doing this. And then Dave, yeah, Dave said be everywhere. Boom, that's it, man. I mean, I agree. I think even in the written format, I think there's tools like Descript where you can now transcribe your audio content and make it into a blog post. But remember, people consume and gather information and education in different ways. So whether, written format, video, and audio. So you have to keep that in mind. And if we're trying to build a brand that touches on all markets, I think it's wise for content creators and personal brands to be able to utilize all forms. I think the challenge is whenever you're trying to do it all at once. But now with repurposing, and I know Dave mentioned the deck of Gary Vee, you can do it. You can. There's definitely ways to automate and make it a lot easier, so you can put the content out in different formats. So yeah, good stuff. Great question. Appreciate that, man. Alex, man, oh man, I'm out here in the real internet. It's crap. It's all good, man. I know you're driving, making moves out there. Start with video, yes, then strip out the audio. Most flexible way to produce, and give options to post produce. Yes, 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 yes. I agree. I'm using StreamYard, guys, and I can extract the audio from here, and I can use this, and I can put real cool captions, and I can even, uh, for example, I can repurpose this video, and how I'm answering all like individual questions. I can repurpose that, like is a 1 hour interview too long for podcasting, and I could just put that as a headline, and then cut that little video portion, and then boom, there's one video, and then the second question, one video. So there's a lot of like ninja moves that you can do to be able to repurpose content. And it's smart because with video, you can really break it up and you can timestamp it, right? So you can timestamp it here and do some really interesting things with the content, and then repurpose it for the audio. So of course, now here's one tip here. If you're doing audio, don't do audio like be mindful and respect the audio audience, meaning that I would not be giving shout outs from audio people. Like, how I'm giving you guys shout out, hey, what's up, DW and Dave? I would cut that out for my audio only audience. Why? Because they don't want to hear that. Like, that's disrespectful. Like, I don't like that. I despise when live streamers try to do that, and then they're on audio and they're like, you're listening to audio, and then it's like you're hearing a live stream recording. No bueno. Don't do that. Do not do that. Respect the audio audience, get to the meat of the content, the conversation, and don't do shout outs in the audio format. That's my 2 cents there. Dave, even vertical for reels and TikTok. Yes, man, it's big. I know people are doing TikTok and they're repurposing it, and then they're uploading it to YouTube Shorts and then Reels, etc. So you can definitely do a lot of things, and then they'll do tweaks on the production side to put it out there. So yes, good stuff, Dave. Dropping in some social media tips. Good stuff, guys. Okay, question number 3. How we doing on time, by the way? Yo, okay, we're doing okay. Okay, I thought it was gonna be like a 20-minute, like I was gonna be in and out, but we're in this, y'all. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys checking out. Hope you guys are feeling well. You guys enjoying this? Let me know. I love the engagement right now. You guys are rocking it. What are you guys drinking? I had 2 cups of coffee earlier. Now I'm just drinking some water, and that's how I'm rocking right now. No tea today. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay. Again, I don't know your name. Appreciate Ozil. I appreciate all that you do for the podcasting community. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. My questions is, what would you do differently if you were starting today, like 2022 today? Like today, like 2022 today, like today, like right now. Great question. What would I do differently? Ooh, let me think about that. That's a good question. What would you guys do differently if you were to start again? What's something that you guys learned? through all your experience in creating content that you would do differently? Would you do something differently? Hmm. Strategy. I would say having a strategy. I think, when I first started the podcast, it was very like I had an idea of what I wanted to be, and I got the equipment and was like, okay, I want to have these guests on, but I didn't have like a strategy to really execute and maximize what I really wanted to do with the content that I was putting out. So, for example, if you are creating a business that's tied into your podcast or YouTube channel, it's important for you to have, I believe, have a strategy, marketing strategy, have the back end already ready to go, a website, your lead magnets, your free giveaways, where early on you're using your podcast or YouTube channel, because I know we have some YouTubers here, to funnel them back into your home base, your website, your domain, to where you can really, convert them into super fans and give them the value and put them in the newsletter. And now you can start building a relationship with them. I really didn't have that early on. I didn't. So one of the things that I am very big on when I coach my clients, my podcasting clients, is having a strategy, right? Knowing your brand, building your audience, and then of course having, monetizing your podcast after you have cultivated an audience, but having a strategy going into it, knowing what your objective is, not necessarily the numbers, right? But early on figuring out what is your objective. If you're a business, are you trying to convert and generate leads and sales? How can we position the podcast? What are the things that you need to mention in your pre-roll? Do we need to, mention anything in the beginning? How can we position this to where we can engage some interest back to your website, your business, if that's your thing? If you're a hobby podcast, then I think just, knowing, what you want your audience to feel, what do you want them to experience, think about what experience do you want to give your listeners, you know, um, where is my audience at? Like have like a marketing strategy where like, okay, cool. I have this podcast that's centered around this TV show. Where are my people at? How many times do I need to show up in these groups, these social gatherings, these meetups where I can really build an audience and have them listen to the podcast and build community around it? I think that's super important. Um, I think so. Strategy would be the move I would take. Do somebody dropped in here? Would have started using Zoom right away, not worry about a studio. Audacity takes a lot of learning for a beginner. Zoom audio processing is sufficient and sounds good. Yes. I know you were doing video, Sean. So video, with Zoom is probably the way to go, something simple. And Audacity and GarageBand is definitely a learning curve. But now we're like, there's tools like Descript, which is kind of like a super easy tool to use to create content and to edit your content. It's super easy. So yeah, I mean the tools are getting better and easier for editing, and yeah, I think but Zoom is the way to go. But you still have to edit your videos, right? So or your audio content. But yeah, man, that's a good one, Sean. Okay, appreciate you sharing that, brother. Alex says that goes with the concept of trial and error. I mean, as long as you're passionate about streaming or anything for that matter, you will go back, analyze, compare, then execute. Absolutely. Yeah, man. I think what it is, I'm all Alex about getting, jumping, starting before you're ready, because being ready is a lie. However, I do feel like there's some prep involved. Like, so there's kind of like two different philosophies, right? There's the just do it, just do it philosophy, the Nike philosophy of just jumping in. And I'm with that. Um, especially if, depending on how you are, like some people are just go getters and they just want to jump in, go for it. But I do feel like there should be some sort of strategy component involved. Um, Whether you go back and what happens, Alex, is that a lot of people start things, but they don't have the self awareness and the mindfulness to actually go back and really see what's working and what's not. What happens is they get on a hamster wheel and then they go on the hamster wheel until they just like burn out, creative burnout or whatever, and say, I give up. This didn't work. And when things don't work, it's not necessarily that the content was garbage or you weren't good at the thing. Sometimes it's just a matter of hiring a coach or assessing what is working, what is not, what's entertaining, what can I get rid of, right? Bruce Lee said, absorb what's useful, reject what's useless. So he understood the importance of going back and knowing that his Jeet Kune Do Kung Fu style, there were certain things that he had to tweak, even though he was still in the motion and he was super, super talented, right? He was dope, but he even understood that there was room for mastery. There was room for growth and to learn new things and to, again, discard the things that are working. The problem with a lot of content creators and live streamers and just content creators, period, is that they don't take time to go back to the drawing board and assess what's working, what isn't, what feels right, what doesn't feel right. And here's the big one. Here's the big one, my friends. How can I show up better for my audience? All right. How can I show up for my people? Am I just rambling and really nobody cares when I'm talking about, or cares what I'm sharing? Make sure that it's resonating with your people, and I think that's important. But yeah, man, I think it goes back to that, Alex. It's just really, back to the principle of assessing, analyzing, comparing, not to others, but comparing, certain things that you can do to make better, and then execute, try new things. I love it, Alex. That's a good one. Awesome, awesome. We got 2 more questions, guys. That's it. Yo, Ozil. Oh, they didn't say Ozil. Yo, I think this was. God, I forgot the name. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I copied and paste. That was it. It was a lady. That's all I gotta say. Yo, Ozil, we're trying to get bigger guests on your podcast, on our show. Excuse me. We're trying to get better guests on our show. What's the best way to get them on our podcast without being too salesy? Don't sell. Don't be salesy. That's it. Next question. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, your pitch. Okay. So how to pitch bigger guests is the question. How to get bigger guests? Well, and I hope this doesn't turn into a rant because I've been getting these quite often. Okay. So when you have an RSS feed, your email, for newsflash podcasters, your email is exposed. So if you've been getting pitches for like podcasting services and all these other things they're trying to pitch you, even possibly guests, it's because they're using your RSS feed and they're capturing your email, and then they're just doing like a massive email marketing campaign. Do you guys get those? They're annoying. They're annoying. I get them as well. So here's the deal. If you're trying to get bigger guests, have a bigger show. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just playing. No, it helps, but no. Do your research. If you want to have bigger guests, higher level guests, do your research. Make sure that they are fit for the show and your audience. Like, make sure that they're going to bring, once again, think of your audience. Make sure they're going to bring value to your audience. Number one. Number two, let them know right offhand in the email, if you do co-email pitches, which I've done and landed some high level guest. Let them know what is in it for them. Don't say, "Hey, I just really like what you do and I love your book. Let me get you on my podcast. My audience will love you." No, it takes a little bit more than that. So let me go back. When you do the research, start doing engagement now. Like if you see a guest, you're like, "Man, I really want to get him or her on the podcast." Start doing the engagement now. Like go on Twitter, see where they're hanging out at, share their content, tweet at them, reply to their comments, really start engaging. It's kind of your way of like waving your hand and, being seen and letting them know that, that you're supporting what they do, because people do pay attention to those things. Okay. I know I do. If somebody's commenting or whatever, I will show love for them right off the hand. Like I see them like, "Hey, what's going on? I remember you." And I've done that in the past. So start engaging, start and do your research, know that they're going to be a good fit for your audience. And when you pitch them to be on a podcast, you'll be surprised how many will say yes, but don't promote your podcast. Let them know what you're going to do for them. So even if you give them some context, like here's a great tip, another tip, give them context, like say, "Hey, listen, and when I have you on my show, I would like to talk to you about this, that." Give them like an idea of the context of the type of interview you want to conduct with them, and let them know how they're going to serve your audience. If they're promoting a book or whatever, let them know, listen, I'm going to go at bat for you. I definitely want to promote your book. I know you're releasing a book soon. You have a new course. We'll love to support. My marketing team would handle all the marketing collateral, send me the links, and we'll make sure we promote it on social media. Like, make it worth their time, make it a no-brainer, and then let them know, like, they just have to show up and to just speak their truth, get behind the mic and share. So if you do the heavy lifting early on, there's a higher chance that you'll get a yes from the higher level guest. If you don't, and it's just a salesy pitch, and you're like, hey, I run this podcast, be on my show, it's just not going to work. So make it thoughtful, make it authentic, make it personal, and make it to where you know that you are going to be promoting and helping them, and that you really, really want them on the show to serve your audience, but you really want to promote them as well. Like, that's heavy. I think if you make it worth it, they'll definitely say yes. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. Let me know, guys, and let me know. I mean, how are you guys getting higher level guests? Let me know if that makes sense. Boom. Sean, you said I have a huge guest in the queue. I didn't really have to pitch. I follow them on social media, have commented on a post. Good job. Boom, engagement. So I simply asked and they said yes. You'll be surprised. One of the things about podcasting, even early on, I was able to snag. Why did I say snag? Is snag a word? I was able to get a high level client early on. A high level guest early on. Simply, I was following them, but I was also, I was genuine about getting them on the show. But I was like, really just wanted to promote them. Like, I was like, hey man, you got a conference coming up, you got a book. You'll be surprised. A lot of people want to talk about themselves. A lot, they want to talk about the product, they want to talk about their expertise, and they're just looking for outlets to share, sometimes to promote. I would say, here's another pro tip. Be aware of the pitches that you get as a podcaster, or like from guests that want to go on your show just to promote themselves. That's a no-no. I got that recently. Check this out. Here's a little story. A couple weeks ago, somebody pitched me to be on my show. And they were interested in me, and no permission needed. And they actually were trying to pitch their client. And it was a very business type of like pitch, and I didn't respond. I think I responded the first time. I was like, I'll review it. And then they just kept on being persistent and pitching. And then they knew I was a podcast coach, and they say, hey, forget it. I was going to establish a relationship with you because I had a client that wanted to be one of your podcast clients. They needed a podcast. Forget it. They got upset. They were like, they logged off. They didn't care too much about anything else after that. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't respond. But in my head, I'm like, man, what a way to not only pitch your guest, but to completely like throw your whole marketing efforts under the bus. Like, so disrespectful. Not, number one, the client that they were trying to pitch wasn't even a good match for my podcast. My podcast is more of a personal development podcast. I'm not talking about KPIs and how to maximize your business. I'm not talking about that. Without going into a big rant, guys, do your research. Like, do your research, and you will get pitches from people that will want to be on your show that have absolutely no business being on your show. So protect your audience, protect your podcast, and know it's okay to say no. Don't say yes to guests simply by having guests. They are in there for self-serving reasons, to promote their book or their course or whatever they're trying to promote. So just be very, very mindful of that. Okay. All right. So that's my rant on that. Hopefully that helps. Boom. Okay. I think this is the last question, guys. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, cool. Ozil. Hey, Ozzy. Ozzy, what's up? Man, my old school friends call me Ozzy. Alex, I think you call me Ozzy. Congrats on your podcast launch. Relaunch. Love the positive vibes, the message. What has been the biggest challenge coming back as a podcaster? Woo, that's a great question. Jesus, that's a great question. Oh my god, I don't know how to answer that. What has been the biggest challenge coming back as a podcaster? Let me think about that. The biggest challenge has honestly has been time because I am in the trenches building a business. Some of you may or may not know. I run a coaching business, and I am, when you're in the trenches and I'm hosting events, right? I have Pod Houston, right? Shout out to Pod Houston. I'm also running Vid Houston as well. So we're doing live events for Vid Houston. I run the coaching bit with Ozil Media. I have coaching clients, and and then I have personal life. And when you're doing so many, you run the risk of dropping some balls, right? You're just kind of like all over the place and you're trying to catch them all. And sometimes, there's some, things that you can't follow through with simply because you just don't have the bandwidth to do it. And with the podcast, it's been really challenging trying to stick with so many things or with the podcast simply because of the bandwidth that I had. So that's probably been the biggest challenge, honestly. It's just kind of the time. And I'm still like taking time. I love the podcast, and it's been very therapeutic. It's been a self discovery. I've been getting some great feedback. People are really digging the short form content. And as a matter of fact, I released a brand new episode today. It's called Stop the Disease for People Pleasing, or The Disease to People Please. And I talk about how a lot of us, and let me know, guys, if you know in the chat room, how many of you, any people pleasers in the house? Like any people pleasers? Like you say yes to everything? Anybody? Drop it in the chat. So I talk about that. So I talk about a lot of things that are related to like the mindset, just personal development and what it is to build an online business, to be in this day and age, being a content creator, um, and some of the challenges we go through, right? Self doubt, fear, anxiety, just being a better leader, showing up, as a leader, as a companion, as a father. There's so many things that we can peel back on. Um, Dave, wait, you have a personal life too? Any tips on how to do that? I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do, man. Apparently I do. It is, man. It's it's man, I tell you what, Dave, it's whenever you deal with personal life, brother, like it's real, man. And I think, that's been the podcast has been my outlet, my man. It's been one of those things where like I really share, and it's still no permission needed, by the way, for those who are interested in checking it out. It's still one of those things where like I'm using it as just like documenting my journey and just kind of sharing a little bit of what I've been going through in the past 2 years, especially during COVID, going through so much during that time, and then growing and then building an online business. Actually, it was prior to COVID, and then it doing amazing and then exploding and then reinventing and pivoting and all the things that we do. Um, so it's been definitely a great way to be able to share a little bit more of my personal life as well. But it's definitely challenging for sure to be able to go through life and building a business and to be able to share that with all of you. So anyhow, that's that. I think that's all the questions that is all the questions I have. Dave, dude, it was so great seeing you here on the live, man. I'm gonna check out everything that you've been working on. Um, Mad respect, man, for you as a content creator. Coming from the bartending world. Do you miss bartending, Dave? Are you doing anything with bartending, by the way? Let me know. Anything with bartending? I would like to know. I'll get behind the the bar every now and then for event bartending, but it's been a minute. It's been fun, but yeah. Here's a few things, guys. Let me go ahead and mention some things that we got coming up. Oh, not that, not that, not that, not that. First. Number one, May 10th, ladies and gents. We're right around the corner. It's going to be our virtual masterclass. I'm really excited about this one. We're going to have none other than Jennifer Navarrete, all the way from San Antonio. She's going to be talking about demystifying Web3 and Podcast 2.0. I'm really excited about this because she's an expert in the trenches regarding, creating content on the blockchain, podcasts, some of the trends that are happening. How can we set ourselves up for this Web 3.0 or Web 3 rather, podcasting 2.0 talk about the future of content creation. It's a free event. We're going to have the podcast influence insiders in the house as well. So it was a great turnout last time. So I encourage you to, we're going to put the Eventbrite link so for you to register. But this is going to be another insightful masterclass because I don't know too much about it, but I know it's the future. And there's some people who are, very, very skeptical about what is going to happen. But the proof is in the pudding. It's happening. Blockchain, NFTs, Web3, and so on and so on. So Jennifer Navarrete is going to be talking about the future of content creation and podcasting in this next Web3 world. So May 10th, please check it out. Look forward to that one. Hope to see you there. And then June 7th, guys, we're back. We're back. We're back. Pod Houston's coming back. For all of those who have been asking, Ozeal, when is the next in-person live event? Well, I got you right here. June 7th. It's a Tuesday. Pod Houston is collaborating with Podcast Movement. They are having a Podcast Movement is to host the biggest podcasting conference in the world. They're doing an in-person, they're doing a tour, and they are collaborating with Pod Houston for this special networking event in person. It's going to be at the Heights Beer Garden. We're going to have a lot more of the marketing and information out there for you in the coming weeks. So, but you hear it first. June 7th is going to be our in-person event. It's going to be a networking style. So Dan and Jared of Podcast Movement will be in the house. They'll be out there hanging out. They're going to be talking a little bit about Podcast Movement. We do have a sponsor, so we have free swag, some free giveaways that they're going to be doing for Podcast Movement folks that are coming out and, of course, promoting the event. But we're really honored and excited to have Jared and Dan join us for June 7th. Really pumped up about that. So please join us. It's going to be in person. It's going to be good to see everybody, have a reunion. And then from here, we're going to kick off doing a lot more in-person events. So really, really looking forward to that. Boom. Jesse. Oh, what's up? Jesse in the house. Insiders in the house. What's up, bro? Spend a lot of my life constantly trying to please others to find validation, while we have to please our clients to find success in business. If you try too hard, instead of loving what you do and letting things flow, people will lack. Yep. 1000%, Jesse. Well said, my man. And in the podcast, I talk about that. I'm talking about the need, just the different layers of people pleasing and how we seek external validation, right? We care what other people say. And that's really the core reason why we feel like we need to people please. But as we all know, as a recovering people pleaser, and I've always challenged myself because I like to help a lot of people. I like to say yes to everything, like initially, but there are times where I need to pull back and be like, look, let me be a little bit more mindful and check myself at the door before I say yes to anything. So my biggest the thing that I say now is like, let me think about it. I'll get back to you just so I can process it before I just be like, yes, let's do it. So yeah, man, thanks for dropping that in. We'll be talking about that a lot more, man. So great to see you, Jesse. Look forward to catching up with you, my man. Be talking branding pretty soon, bro. So we're gonna have to talk about that. Dave, I'm running a multi-bar theater in Birmingham these days as my day job, bro. Really? That is dope. Multi-bar theater. What is that about, my man? Yeah, hit me up. We got to talk about that, dude. That's dope. That's awesome. So you're doing that in conjunction with the YouTube channel, the Apple News YouTube channel. So that's dope. I'm glad. Dave, great to see you, my man. I'm glad that you're here and you're one of the OGs in the content creation space. So it's really, really nice, man, just to catch up with you. And thank you so much for joining me on this live stream, man. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I've been doing this, Dave, and everybody else who caught this for the first time. I'm going to be doing this every Monday at 11 a.m. Something I just started doing recently. I love this. I love the live stream. I love the interaction. I love the idea of just improvising and just going with the flow and seeing where it goes and just, putting it out there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed and got some value out of this live stream. Great to see everybody here. Again, next event coming up, May 10th, then June 7th. And then, of course, we have more to come on that. And then the insiders, Jesse, we'll see you tomorrow. For those who are interested, I got to put this out there, a little shameless plug. If you are interested in joining Podcast Influence Academy, it's the coolest, most diverse podcast mastermind in town. Podcast Influence Academy, podinfluence.com. We meet up twice a month. It's group accountability, group coaching, great podcasters, content creators. It's amazing. And I love these guys. I love them. Love, 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 love. So shout out to Podcast Influence Insiders, Jesse, and everybody else. I think Brian tuned in earlier for catching this. Thank you for your support. And I think that's it, guys. Thank you. Much, much love, Dave. Great seeing you. That is it. It's a wrap. Guys, have a great week. It's the last week of April. Let's get out there and make it count. Remember to do things that make you feel alive. I know we have a lot of content creators in the house. So, I tip my hat to you guys because I know it's not easy creating content. I know it can get lonely. Hence why I like to do live stream, because I feel like it's not lonely here. We get to vibe a little bit, but I think it's fun. I think it's amazing. I think anytime that you put in effort to show up and as a leader and to provide for your audience, I mean, it's nothing but respect and love for you guys. So keep on doing the good work. Keep on making a ruckus, and doing the work that matters out there. So guys, thank you so much for your support. If this resonates with you, this live stream, it is going to be on Podcast Influence YouTube channel. Subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your people on social media. And again, if you have any ideas for future live stream shows, let me know. But as always, I'll be back every Monday, next Monday, 11 a.m. Central Time, to be able to do this with you all over again. So much, much love, much gratitude, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. See you guys next week. Peace and one love.